There we go. You have to apologize. You have to apologize for me, my dear friends. Technical difficulties and the whole kind of jazz. I do apologize. As I was just saying, please excuse the mess from behind there. Unfortunately, I'm doing through a spot of spring cleaning, and my children have been a bit untidy, as it were. Don't worry, we should get sound now. I shall wait until I can get confirmation that there is sound. Okay, excellent. My apologies, I forgot to press a button there. But anyway, my apologies there, and welcome everyone to Bad Fanfiction Live. My name is Master Gamington Smythe III, for the second time tonight. But anyway, I do a little apologize there. But don't worry, I can turn the volume up for you right now. So, I'll be sure to do that for you. So, one thing I shall begin to say, thank you all for coming, and last week was an absolute triumph. Everyone was there and we had up to 80 viewers at the same time. Let's see if we can get to 100, shall we? But just as before we begin, I'd like to just make a little note to the stream tip jar that it would be most greatly appreciated. I shall be doing a link in the chat. So, if you do consider it, I would be most grateful. But it is indeed not mandatory, my dear viewers. So, do bear that in mind. But anyway, let us waste no time, and let's get on with the chat. I see that regulars from last week were here. Fade Review, July. Darkly133. Norma. Excellent. I do wish you an absolutely happy birthday. And B-Day. Because a happy B-Day is a happy bathroom. I must admit. But anyway, let us not waste any more time and get on to the subject at hand. Chosen by my friends' Twitter followers. We are here to discuss Star Wars. By popular demand, this topic came out on top. And sure enough, I have the fanfictions for you tonight. So, Jedi Goku mind tricks. And Kirsten, yes, I couldn't forget about you. Thank you, Kirsten. Thank you for coming. 5D. Thank you all. And hello, Synthesizer. And Kisu-san, I'm doing very well, thank you very much. And, Mr. Evers, I shall just do the regular... Now, a lot of people last year would get it. What's the dilly filly? Yeah, but anyway. Let us continue on. Let us begin with the first entry tonight. We should be aiming to do around 1 hour. Now, I'm so glad that everyone in the chat is doing so happily. I'm really, really very happy. So absolutely ecstatic. So far we have 26 views. So, welcome one and all. Let us waste no time and get on with the first story. Now this story in particular comes from a particular character. It is very interesting. It is called simply Messed Up Star Wars. Now before we begin, I would very much like you to appreciate to share the Star Wars stream with everybody that you know. So that means everyone can enjoy the Star Wars delight. So, let us begin. Messed Up Star Wars by Maloli. When I get bored and hyper something like this happens, this is my messed up Star Wars thing starring Megan and Lindsay, my two best friends. Please review Sorry for Weirdness. In a universe far, far... Let's skip this part. Something more awesome. Bang! The sound of doors being thrown off its hinges was heard. The doors were thrown in their position. 2 people ran out of a building and into a waiting car. The car hovered off the ground and within a minute was speeding through the air. After a half hour of driving, the car came to a stop outside a warehouse. The 2 walked up to the door calmly and opened them. There was disco lights, a bar, a dance floor, and a bunch of random dancing people. The 2 people at the door looked on in shock. "Mesa had to do their dong with this, sir," the alien man said, feeling its life. The girl next to him shook her head and pulled out a blaster and fired it at the roof. She gained the attention of the people inside. "Out, now!" she yelled. The random people inside ran away out to the building, leaving the 2 behind the door and one another. "Aw, you ruined my fun," the girl at the bar whined, the drinking and glared at the 2 by the door. "And Misa... Oh, Misa, sorry!" yelled the alien thing known as Jar Jar. He started to panic. He ran around in circles. Megan, the girl at the door, stuck her foot out, and of course, Jar Jar fell over. "Oops," she said sarcastically. "What do you think you're doing here, and how did you find our hideout?" Megan asked. Lindsay, the girl at the bar, drank more of her drink. "I might have stalked you, then waited here for you to get back. But I got bored and had a party," Lindsay laughed. Megan pointed a gun at Lindsay. "You can get out now, or I can shoot you," Megan smirked. "Or I can shoot you." Lindsay pulled a gun from nowhere and pointed it at Megan. So what? Wait, the epic firefight began. Megan ducked behind a table while Lindsay hid behind the bar. But Jar Jar was running around like the weird alien thing he was and ended up getting shot by them both. "Ow!" he yelled. Something about this part of the story made everyone turn slow. Megan and Lindsay didn't seem to notice, but Jar Jar slowly fell to the ground. Sad music played in the background. If you look closely, you can see R2-D2 playing a violin while C-3PO sang opera music. While SpongeBob and Sandy were line dancing. "Yeah, I know, but this is, well, my story, so whatever. It was completely messed up, so back to Beeps. So back to Jar Jar. He lied on the ground, not moving or anything. Megan and Lindsay gave a quick glance at him. Lindsay snuck over to R2-D2 and opened a panel on his head. He released lots of loud beeps. "Shut up, stupid tin can," Lindsay grumbled. She pulled a pair of pliers from nowhere. Yeah, she does this a lot, it's creepy. She cut a bunch of wires and then a hologram came up. It was a countdown starting from 10. Lindsay got up and ran for the door. Before she went out of the door, she turned back to where Megan was kicking Jar Jar's dead body. She then shouted, "Ha ha ha ha! You thought you could beat me? I'm too awesome for you!" Megan glared at Lindsay. "You're insane," she yelled. Lindsay just laughed. She kept on laughing, so she forgot about the bomb. It was too late anyway. The bomb went off, blowing them all into another dimension. In this dimension, Lindsay went to the mall and sold Jar Jar's body to some weird old guys hanging around a white van. Yeah, I know, right warning signs were right there. White van, duh. Well, anyway, with the money she got for his body, she builds a Death Star. Woo, how cool is that? I'll just shut up now. She tried to take over the galaxy, but failed. Because R2-D2 came back for revenge. He even got his mafia friends to help, so in the end, Lindsay was defeated. Obi-Wan didn't get to be in the story. Megan was never heard of again, and the world was safe for now. But who knows? R2-D2 has a Death Star. Don't ask me, I don't know. The end. Well, that was certainly a thing. I'm not going to lie, that was very, let us say, illuminating. And white vans, and I'm very confused about the time period, I must admit, ladies and gentlemen. I'm absolutely bewildered. But everyone has in common the fact that Jar Jar died. And I think everybody's okay with that. So it's not all bad, as it were. Anyway, everyone's talking in the chat about R2-D2 being in the Mafia. And I have to admit, it is rather strange. And I was just absolutely mesmerized about the whole shebang. And I'm just trying to about complex things. I'm starting to think about the world of life. I didn't know the C-3PO could actually sing music. Oh my gosh. Lots of time to think about this, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, I take it all that everyone enjoyed the fanfiction. But anyway. Welcome Elijah. Welcome to the stream. You've only missed one so far, and you missed a scene where Star Wars and SpongeBob crossed over. Jar Jar Binks died, and a lot of strange things happened. And R2-D2 was apparently in the Mafia. And David Johnson, TR8R fanfics. I'm afraid I've not been able to find one for this journey, but if you can find one, leave a link in the chat. And I'll be sure to peruse it. Then we can discover it together. But anyway, let us continue on with the next story. Now this one, my dear friends, is called Almonds, and it is a Star Wars My Little Pony fanfiction crossover. Simply called Almonds by Screwy Choaz. Warning! This story is funny in some ways, but still is the story nonetheless. If you cannot handle funny content, do not read! Almonds was walking down the street in a Halloween costume, a pumpkin, when she spotted a pumpkin patch, which would be perfect for her to hide in because she was playing hide and seek with her friends. She walked into there and noticed a giant pumpkin with a door. She walked up to it. And opened the door to DC Discord dressed as a pirate. She said, hello, my name's Almonds. And Discord turned around and said, boo! And everything backed out. Almonds woke up on top of the skyscraper over Gotham City. She looked herself over. She was now wearing a supersuit, and had Discord's tail and wings, and had flaming hands and ice powers, and she could fly, and shoot cotton candy from her eyeballs. She shot up into the air, testing her new power just to bump into a rainbow. What gives? She said, looking at the fluffy unicorn dancing on it. Hi, I'm Flufflepuff. I need your help. I believe me, dear viewers, I do know about Flufflepuff, and she does not talk. So there is a little bit of inconsistency there, but let's go. That's more accurate. But anyway, let's continue. A robot Flufflepuff has taken over Gotham City and has an army and is building her temple of fluff there, she says as robot Flufflepuff appeared. I will destroy you all, bleep bloop bleep, she said. Flufflepuff grasped as Almonds tried to hit robot Flufflepuff with her cotton candy powers only to fail. Mwahahahaha, said robot Flufflepuff as she shot back a black beam of magic, blasting Flufflepuff and Almonds out of Gotham City, covering it with a giant force field so they couldn't get back in. Flufflepuff stuck her tongue out, making a fart noise. That's more like it. But don't worry, I know some people that can help, said Almonds as she pulled out her pizza phone. She dialed a number and a hologram of Luke Skywalker popped up. Luke, you're our only hope, she said, and then hung up. Boom! A giant spaceship landed on the ground right next to Flufflepuff and Almonds. Then an army of 500 quintillion clone troopers jumped out, followed by a billion Wookiees and 374 R2-D2s. Then Luke jumped out and pulled out his lightsaber and yelled, "Charge!" And everyone charged and broke the force field. I don't think this is a very good idea, said 3CPO, startling Almonds. I'll... said Chewbacca. I believe it's more like... said Chewbacca, agreeing, but still charging after the army. Almonds flew after them, and Flufflepuff danced on a rainbow and after them, leaving C-3PO in the dust. They flew up to Robot Flufflepuff just to be stopped by her army, which was blasted to pieces in seconds. Then Luke yelled, "Ready, aim, fire!" And all of Luke's army turned around and aimed their butts up at Robot Flufflepuff and fired the biggest fart ever in the history of the universe, setting off an atomic bomb that hurt all the bad guys and turned them to good, in which they all smelled like cheese. Yay, said Flufflepuff, and then all the clone troopers did the gangman style and Wookiees danced to Everything is Awesome, and Flufflepuff and Almonds lived happily ever after. The end. Well, my dear viewers. I have to say that it's very, very, very strange. I'm just checking up on my drink, and thankfully there is some left in there. Ah. Thank you very much, Filey. Thank you very much. I drink to that. Thank you very much for your tip. It is very much appreciated, friend. 5D review. Decent fella. I believe that he was just as receptive for this fanfiction. I'm just reading the comments here. And excuse me, but it is only one R2D2. And yes, indeed there is. Yes, indeed. And I must admit that, indeed, I'm just absolutely mesmerized, my dear viewers. I'm just reading the comments here. The power of a fart, the atomic fart, Paul C3PO, Blazy Blake says cheese farts, and Goto Taku says from under cheese? Plot twist, Flufflepuff is Luke Skywalker's sister, says Freedu, the Red-Eye Tiger H. Well, stranger things have happened, my friend. Yeah. Everything is awesome. Everything is cool and it's coated in cheese. Somebody saw the Goku Vine. Anyway, if you'd like to see more of Goku Vines, be sure to check out the Vine video on my YouTube channel. Or I say but my friend's YouTube channel. And don't forget to leave a stream tip if you do enjoy these chats. But I'll be able to do more and more of these over time. And the 8th Melody says, I had no idea what was going on. Believe me, neither did I. And I see that my friend Swedish Karibo is in the chat. Welcome, sir. Welcome. Glad you could make it. My friend Swedish Karibo. In fact, you're all my friends. A toast to you all. Toast you all and bad fanfiction. We're taking a little intermission right now. David Johnson says, if you got a tie, you'd look like Goku in the first Broly movie. Well, I do have ties, but I need to actually get that combo. Because there's a cosplay for you. That's a very interesting cosplay. That would be very, very cool. In fact, I shall probably do that. I shall take a Team 4-star convention appearance, whenever that may be, and dress up as Goku as he's going to an interview. Why not? It's all for the jolly good jape. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in. But anyway, let's move on to the next story. Yes, this one. Okay, this one's not from my usual source. It's actually from a different one. Oh. Please excuse me. Having a bit of technical difficulties there, but anyway. Right. Let's move on to the story number 3. We're halfway through at the end of this. But anyway, let's get on. It is simply called The Talent Show. Jedi Master Luke Skywalker and his wife Mara Jade have spawned 2 delightful children. Soraya is the Merisu, and Nathaniel exists only to torment her. When are you going to grow up and start acting mature like me? God, you're almost 13, she said, still brushing her long hair. I'm not mature, he said. At least I don't spend hours grooming my hair. I do not. But then she looked at the brush and threw it. Listen, we are going to be late, and I don't have time for your childish antics. She then pushed her hair back and exited the room. He followed soon after. Soraya decides to enter a talent show for, like every Merisu that ever was, she has a wonderful singing voice. What she doesn't have is originality. She steals her song from Christina Aguilera, while Nathaniel, no creative genius himself, gets his dastardly plan to humiliate her from Stephen King's Carrie. Then her voice came out, sounding like a small, high-pitched chipmunk. The judges laughed, and then her brother pulled on the cord, sending blue paint all on her sister. She screamed as it was all the dress her aunt had given her for her birthday. It was her aunt's and father's mother's dress, and it was white. Well, clearly not anymore. Eventually, peace is restored in Castle Skywalker when Nathaniel listens to Christina Aguilera's lyrics and realizes the error of his ways. Whose white dress was ruined is a mystery for the ages. Well. Oh dear. Oh dearie, dearie me. That was definitely something. That was definitely a thing. The talent show. Question is, who had the talent? Was it Surya? Was it Nathaniel? Or was it us? For watching and reading. I believe, my dear viewers, that it calls for a little bit of a top-up. It is the finest quality water. Well, spiked water, let's say. Delicious fanfiction. Anyway, thank you very much, Blazy Blake, for your kind donation. Very much appreciated. And thank you very much for tuning in. I'm glad that you could make it this week. Anyway, reading the comments. Kirsten Rocket says, "Dude, I know you share your feels." In fact, actually, we could probably make a bit of a fanfiction thing about reading these comments. 5D Review says, "Mary Sue's the bane of all real fanfic writters." And Elijah Blackman says, "I just found out about these things. I don't like them." And Getsu-chan says, "Did anyone else miss the relation to Star Wars?" Well, it contains Skywalkers. Who knows? Maybe Luke did find a woman. And this is probably what happens. There's probably not a lot to do. But then, having said that, this was written before The Force Awakens came out. And I have seen that film twice. And it is indeed a jolly romp. I know, Connor, I do apologize. That was rather short. But rather short and, sweet? I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure about that. But, anyway. Be sure, everybody, to check the link for all details about my Twitter, the stream tip. Any donations would be most kind. And I shall also leave a link in the chat. But thank you all for coming. It does genuinely mean a lot to me. We've now reached half-time. And how is everybody doing tonight? We're going to have a nice little chat with the audience. And I shall read it out because I do apologize for people doing catch-up, that the stream is not on the side. But I need to kind of find out a better balance in how to get myself on the camera, that thing over there. I need to work this out. But anyway. Mr. Evers, thank you very much for clearing that up. Indeed, Mara Jade is Luke's wife in the expanded universe. And the universe is still... yes, because old Disney. They cancelled the expanded universe somewhat. So this was probably written before Disney bought Star Wars. Yes, excellent. Good. Good. I'm glad that you could be watching. But anyway. The name's Raccoon says, "Raccoon loves this stream." Thumbs up, NNG9. And Fidey, I'm glad that you find the stream absolutely hilarious. Synthesizer. Do enjoy your chocolate cake. I'm looking forward for you trying it. I do love me some cake. Anyway. Read something involving episode 7. Well, I'm glad you asked, David Johnson. I do have something somewhat close to that. And it is this one. And this one's a bit of a longer one. So, this one is simply titled, By Dragon of Despair, Star Wars Episode 6.49736545001, approx. He doesn't wish to, be too foolhardy. He wants to kind of put in a little bit of assessment there. But anyway, let's move on. An extremely random retelling of Return of the Jedi, rated for cussing and insults in some chapters. Permanent hiatus. Oh, that's a shame. Anyway, let's read what he's got, shall we? This was originally supposed to be a disgustingly random stop-motion movie. My friend Dr. Egon and I were working together. We got this partially written, and our favorite scene half-filmed before we completely abandoned it. I found I, the other day, and out of complete frustration with my other projects, decided to work on it. Attempt to turn our half-done script into a finished narrative. You still have to imagine that you're watching it on a TV screen for a few of the jokes to work, but it works okay. So, on to the prologue. In order for this to work, you have to imagine the scrolly introduction at the beginning of the Star Wars movie 7777. Star Wars! Episode 6.49736745001, approx. Stardate 00100. You have now entered the Twilight Zone. Finally, dead Yoda is, so to join the Rebel Armada, Lucas George Sandcrawler has gone. When found, then he did. Waiting for him, Princess Llewellyn Organically Grown and Han's duo were. Welcomed him, they did. His help they could use. A new Death Star the Emperor has constructed, so a mission to destroy it being planned was. Wait, Yoda's dead. Why in hell are we still talking like him? Annoying it is. Much has happened to our heroes. Lucas discovered his parentage. Darth Valery is his father. He was devastated. After a few years of sulking, he returned to his Jedi Master Yoda, who we, the directors, aren't messing with because he's cool. And it was too much trouble considering we aren't even showing him. Plus, he's scary when he's ticked. He really is. Don't you see Star Wars Ep 3? This green dude is major badass. Anyway, Yoda died. I think we covered that. And young Lucas returned to the rebellion just as he was needed, with perfect timing. Uncanny. Trivia question. When Han and Chewie fixed the Falcon during flight in The Empire Strikes Back, who is flying the ship? But this story isn't really about the heroes, it's about the stormtroopers. Because you can always find more heroes, but stormtroopers are in short supply. Just walk into Toys R Us, you'll find plenty of Episode 4 layers, but not one stormtrooper. Do you know how hard it is to make a movie without any stormtroopers to slaughter? So, here's a message to all those overworked, underpaid, subject to the whims of the Sith Lords and Directors. Stand up and fight for your rights. Unionize, prioritize, strike. Wait a minute, you're one with the blasters. Deunionize, unprioritize. And whatever you do, don't strike. Trivia question answer, Chewie's fleas. But there are secret plots afoot that are so dastardly, so evil, so subtle, so secret, they may even at the end of our poor heroes. Though as Resident Chaos Goddess, I hope the heroes dies. Now for our feature presentation. A recitation of the 50 worst sonnets in human history. ... 777. This is probably the only story I'll post before I finished it. I finished it, but I already know how it ends, and have an outline, so there's minimal risk of my mind throwing the story into the trash. That said, this is an unfinished work, so if anyone has any ideas or jokes they want to see written into upcoming chapters, I welcome them. Even in-jokes might be included if I like them enough. Next scene is Endor mission briefing. This is one of the scenes Dr. Egon and I never finished writing, so I may be a bit before it comes out, and ideas are more than welcome. Also, there are 4 words in that entire prologue in which the letter Z is used correctly. Digital brownies go to the first person who can tell them to me. Sincerely, Dragon of Despair. Well, that was an interesting first chapter, my viewers. Anyway, let's continue on with chapter 2. Scene 1. Endor mission briefing. This one of the chapters with cussing. You have been warned. So viewers, can you take your cussing? You can? Good. 777. That's a lot of sevens. Endor mission briefing. An X-Wing starfighter zooms its way over a green screen for several seconds, before the background is replaced by a wavering coral reef with several fish and bubbles trailing up behind. Strangely, this coral reef has a glass plate set in it that reads, Friday, April 27th, 11:40:46. Sub-hunt music is heard. Even as the X-Wing soars its way across the screen, the time on the plate changes to read 11:40:47, then 11:40:48. And dare I say, viewers, 11:40:49, but I might be wrong with that one. In case no one has guessed, this is someone's aquarium screensaver, as the X-Wing finally makes it to the right of the screen and begins to exit out of the camera. The aquarium vanishes and becomes a proper starfield, even if that starfield is obviously multicolored sequins glued to a piece of black paper. The X-Wing exits the view. Sub-hunt music continues to play when the scene changes. The starfield is again visible. But this time, in front of it, is a brown paper lunch bag that has had the words, Space Station Hangar, written in blue Sharpie on the side in the foreground. The camera zooms out until the tiled kitchen floor is visible around the starfield, then zooms back in until the brown bag is only partially visible. The blue Sharpie label now reads, Space Station Hangar, but that's okay. The X-Wing re-enters the camera view and makes its way into the space station hangar without mishap. The screen goes black and the sub-hunt music ceases. Camera pans around the room. There are several humans dressed in X-Wing flight gear and a giant cardboard cutout of a goldfish arranged around a coffee table, complete with Starbucks coffee cups in front of each person, including the goldfish. As the camera continues to pan, two things become apparent. One, Princess Llewellyn organically grown and Han's duo are waiting by a pair of French doors. Hans flips off the camera. How rude. And second, this room is the back patio of someone's house. As the French doors are obviously seen from the outside. The French doors open and our hero, Lucas George Sandcrawler, walks through, followed by a slightly grainy, pixelish R2-D2. He is greeted by Princess Llewellyn, and then less enthusiastically by Hans. Someone clears their throat, and the three of them take seats around the coffee table. More Starbucks cups are pulled out from under the table and handed to the three heroes. Hans makes his faces at the caramel frappuccino. The pixelish R2-D2 positions himself so that he is visible in the camera angle. The Death Star, the voice that of a girl is trying to sound like a man speaking underwater and no one's mouth moves, though the way the camera centers on the goldfish cutout hints an attempt to indicate the goldfish is the one speaking. It is surrounded by an energy field that prevents from just blowing it up, like we did the last Death Star. Of course, it was going to be that simple, a third movie wouldn't have been made. So since it's not that simple, Princess Llewellyn, Hans Duo, and Lucas Sandcrawler will go to the surface of Endor and disable the shield. Yes, Lucas. Lucas speaks with his hand still in the air. What if I don't want to go? Lucas, you have to go. But if I go on this mission, Darth Valery will sense my presence, which will ruin the element of surprise and allow him to set a trap for us. Then I'll be hauled up to the Death Star to confront the Emperor himself, and even if I win that, I'll probably still be on the Death Star when it's blown up. All the X-Wing pilots laugh at him. In fact, the only people not laughing are Lucas himself and the goldfish, who is saying, "That is the point, Lucas. You don't have a choice, because without all that, there really isn't a point. The fleet will..." The rest of the goldfish speech is set at a volume barely above human perception. My, very talented goldfish. You, the viewer, realize that this is because the goldfish is no longer of any importance when R2 begins beeping and whistling. The droid's electronic rant continues for a full minute of beeping and tooting. Fortunately for you, a subtitle float in midair at the bottom of the camera view and read, "Here we stand, cockbites. We go now to kill. This world is a crazy red subtitle font. That's Shizno Emperor and his Jizrag Death Star. But little do you stupid clueless rebels know that when you strike him down, a foe more powerful than you can possibly imagine will arise. Mayblood!" Lucas interrupts the rant. "Did you say something, R2? A negatory beep is accompanied by the subtitle, "No." The room is replaced by forest from above the trees. An R2 beep in heard with the subtitle, "Sucker." This tranquil overlook of a forest simply sits there until you, the viewer, begins to wonder, what the hell is this for? Then a ship comes from behind the camera and starts across this tranquil scene. The ship is odd. Ooh. Ooh, dude. Oh, so, okay. No apologies there. I thought something a little odd there. But anyway. Let's go back a few bits. Negatory beep is accompanied by the subtitle, No. The room is replaced by forest from above the trees. An R2 beep in heard with the subtitle, Sucker. This tranquil overlook of a forest simply sits there until you, the viewer, begins to wonder, what the hell is this for? Then a ship comes from behind the camera and starts across this tranquil scene. The ship is odd to look at, for a spaceship that is. If this were a movie about base fishing, this little space speedboat wouldn't be all out of place. Assuming, of course, that is instead in hypothetical base fishing movie that boat is sitting on the water, not flying through the air over the forest of a presumably alien planet. I mean, that would be silly. That would be just silly. Slowly the ship flies across the sky and disappears under the tree line. An explosion is seen and heard from the place where it disappeared. Fade to black. Congrats and digital brownies to Let's Just Call Me for recognizing the 4 correct Z's. The Z's were just for the prologue, and just for fun. They're because when Dr. Egon and I decided to call this Star Wars instead of Star Wars, we decided to replace a lot of the S's with Z's. So S's in the middle or end of the words become Z's, and S's at the beginning of the words stayed S's. And yeah, I probably missed some, but I'm not bothered enough to care. And thanks to Super Tinfoil Man Part 2, it's supposed to be confusing. Next part, Endor. Another scene that never got completely written. This one will probably take longer. Sincerely, Dragon of Despair. Oh, well. Well. Oh my goodness. Yes, I'm just reading some of your comments there. And yes, I indeed do find it hard to follow. And, oh dear. This guy really likes to give out digital brownies as synthesizer. He actually does. He actually does indeed. Anyway, let's move on to the last chapter. Let's just move on. Warnings for this chapter include cussing and confusion. Not as if we hadn't had any already. Eh, viewers? 777. Endor, Part 1. Our intemperate heroes, who I'm sure don't require a second introduction, all pull themselves from the wreckage of their speedboat. All of them have bright orange life jackets which then begin removing with a degree of enthusiasm and disdain for the safety gear, usually expressed by high school students. The fact that our heroes are being played by high school students has absolutely nothing to do with this, except the dog. An electronic squeal with no obvious source is heard. Translated in the subtitles for your viewing pleasure as is, "Get this fucking orange jizz rag off of me, you neonatic morons!" And all the heroes look over at a small, bright pink flag stuck into the ground nearby. The dog barks. "Here, R2, I'll help you out of that." Lucas steps forward and begins an awkward pantomime over the flag, which could be anything from helping R2 out of his bright orange life jacket to cooking hot dogs on a short barbecue. And even though there's some whacked out charade of hot dog cooking isn't out of the question considering the randomness of this movie, it's probably best to assume he's helping R2 until proven otherwise. Behind him, Han's duo Princess Llewellyn and someone dressed in cheap C-3PO costume are suppressing outright laughter at Lucas's helping thin air. Someone behind the camera isn't so restrained. When the last snicker dies away, everyone takes the time to look at the surrounding forest and figure out where they are. R2 blinks into existence over the pink flag as they do so. They are surrounded by trees and obviously lost in the deep woods, far from any hint of civilization. There's a swing set visible behind the list of line of trees. There's also several people in white, poorly hidden behind several trees that our heroes are ignoring because they haven't sprung their ultra sneaky ambush yet. Of course, as soon as that is said, read by you, the viewer, the stormtroopers attack! Not much effort has been put into making them all 4 of them, look like stormtroopers. They're dressed in white and have a paper stormtrooper mask. That's it. The bright green and pink super soakers standing in for blasters certainly look dangerous, though. Apparently, the heroes think so too. Hells yarns, "Wookiee, get him!" And the dog obeys the command, running up to one of the stormtroopers and drooling on him. Or her. It's hard to tell. Much like Captain Phasma, eh? Not like that matters. It's supposed to be armor. It doesn't matter what gender you are. So long as the armor doesn't kill you, that's all that matters. At one point, one stormtrooper runs off to the side of the battle where there is a pile of bicycles under a tree, grabs one, and rides off. He, or she, is followed by Princess Llewellyn. From behind the camera, the solid smack sound announces the death of the last stormtrooper and all the remaining humans, and the dog run up to stare in the direction the princess disappeared in. After long seconds of staring at the back of their head, you, the viewer, realize that's probably the last you'll see of the bike chase. 777. Hi, this scene is not finished, but it has been so bitchy to write that I'm posting it anyway, with a request. If any reader has any suggestion for dialogue for this fight scene or the Ewok party later, or any random jokes that can be included in the bike chase, please tell me. I'm drawing a blank for those, and I really want to finish Endor Part 1 before I begin on Endor Part 2. Sincerely, Dragon of Despair. Well, indeed, viewers, I'm going to post a link to this in the chat. So, if you wish to contribute to this tale, be sure to add your say as a review, as a comment. Yeah, but anyway. I'm just reading the comments here, and Carl Dewey says, the Dilly Philly. Blazy Blake says, we need what the Dilly Philly shirts. Well, let's not get crazy here. I mean, we should have some kind of badge, that's for sure. But what's the Dilly Philly is indeed one of the first catchphrases. And I am indeed very humbled to have that. Anyway. I'm glad that you're all enjoying it. I myself am enjoying this immensely. I'm just so humbled for you all to be here. Thank you all for coming. And I'm absolutely thrilled you could be here. Once again, just another one things. July says, but Smith X Fanfiction is my OTP. Well, goodness. I must thank you. I mean, I never thought that I could make love to a fanfiction, but strange things have happened. I mean, have you seen the Mario fanfiction on my channel? I mean, that's just silly. Like a dilly filly. Don't worry, 8 Melodies. Let's just say that shirts are not an impossibility. You never know. Oh, you're welcome, Synthesizer. No Guitar Hero, don't worry. We're not over just yet. It's just only this one. We're now on to another one. We have 2 more. Anyway, let's move on to this one. Hello, MasakoX4. Glad you could make it. I do apologize, viewers, if the stream seems to get a little funny, but my apologies. I am working on a little bit of wireless, but not to worry, we will get this sorted. Anyway, on to our 8 Melodies. You see, there's a Star Wars X DBZ fanfiction. Well, I'm pretty sure that we'll be getting back to Dragon Ball and Star Wars in the future, so do be sure to send me a link afterwards. But anyway, let us get on with story number 5. This one is a very weird one. This one is a Star Wars crossed over with the Bible. So, based on it what you will. I think I need a bit of a drink to begin with this one. Right. This one is by X Valora X. Kirsten. Okay, tell you what. Be sure to leave a comment afterwards on the stream when it becomes a video. So leave a comment there, and we should be able to do this. Or better yet, leave a tweet. Link it to my Twitter, or this Twitter, or that. But send it there, and I will be sure to get it. Thank you. Ah, race car lock. Glad you could make it. I'm glad that you can make it, because we have two more fan fictions, and you've come on to a very good one. This one is Star Wars and the Bible. Anyway, let's begin with The Plight of the Jedi Goddesses at High Force. A mix of Star Wars, the Bible, Bridge to Terabithia, Sound of Music, Doctor Who, Harry Potter, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and Alice in Wonderland. All based on true events of a weekend away. Good laugh, please R&R. Randomness through and through, X. Author's note. The story is based on true events, mixed in with the wonderful worlds of different places by the members of G-Force from the High Force Reward Weekend. You go, girls, and thanks for letting me have the story to post. This is for you, Katie, Kate, Joanne, Debbie, Emma, Becky, Haley, and me. Go G-Force! In the beginning, in a galaxy no so far, far away, Judas Eliot tired to use his evil Sith powers to point the G-Force girls along the wrong path, but the 8 Jedi goddesses could not be fooled, as they set off towards the church, deliberately passing the dimensional gateway, in order to look at the beautiful Gothic architecture of the Church of St. James the Less. As they entered the galaxy of Puketrobe, Buttercup backwards, Wookiee Bishop and his band of alien misfits left a cunning trap for the goddesses, which goddess Katie woefully fell into. She fought her way out of the evil fence which cunningly disguised itself as a path. The goddesses knew they were on the right trail when they found evil Steve Stupé while crossing the stile. I believe she meant the sticks. They later came upon the Oompa Loompa Foster's receding hairline. At the joining of the waters, the great oak led them to the shoe-eating enclave. The guardians of the goddesses, Steve and Paul, used their magic silver tape to save Princess Emma. As the group tried to pass onto solid ground, evil Judas, Steve, tried to draw goddess Haley into the rapid waters, where she was rescued by Buttercup Jeff. Judas Steve then tried to throw the goddesses Claire and Becky to the trolls as they crossed the infested bridge. However, they made it to the other side. However, Princess Emma's shoe was unable to continue its soulful journey. Get it? And Guardian Steve was sent upon a quest to find safe footwear. Meanwhile, Princess Alice, Debbie, fell down a cleverly disguised rabbit hole. Desperately clinging to Goddess Joanne, trying to stay this side of Terabithia, just missing the white rabbit. Surviving all these evil traps, the goddesses then climbed every mountain as the hills were alive with the sound of Haley, looking for Edelweiss to board the raft which would then take them beyond the realms of piranhas and sharks and into the Molish kingdom, where death lingered in the air. They rested by the old farmhouse as 2 time and relative dimension and space travelers passed by, continuing on the quest across the Haley's Wall, which is impossible to walk around. Look, it ends there. Why do we have to climb over it? Why don't we just go round? Haley exclaimed. The wall goes round the corner, Kate stated. They came upon a bridge of hoops where it became evident that they would have to work with the sworn enemy to survive and continue on their journey. Winning the challenge with Princess Emma swiftly guiding to the finish. They now went in search of the ferocious flowing waters of the Tees, but here the Empire struck back, forcing them to cross the field of galactic werecows. Safely passing the werecows, another challenge lay ahead, where Princesses Alice and Emma were transfigured besides the rushing water of the Tees, into a fox and a chicken where evil Wookiee Bishop did not need transfiguring into the sack of corn. The other goddesses were at a loss. They carefully carried their princesses across the calm waters summoned by the Guardians, who then reversed the charm and returned the princesses to their former, proper stunning selves. The Guardians set the goddesses upon the right path, before consorting with their inner demons. They hypnotized the goddesses and evil Wookiees, and while they were dazed and confused, they were tied together. The Guardians did this in hope that they would learn to trust and how to work together, all in the small hope of futter peace. As they learned to work together, the Guardians made the task just that little bit harder. They blindfolded half of them as a test of courage. The moral of this story is to always use your pointer, because you can block out a whole village on a map with your finger. Just like that. Author's note. I hope you enjoyed the little story. A small one-shot that made the house ring with laughter when it was performed. Ugh. Oh dear, 5D seems to be very, very perplexed about this. Everyone, in fact, the whole chat seems to be absolutely bamboozled about what's going on. Oh dear. My goodness. That was indeed a story, my viewers. But anyway. Let us move on to this last tale. This one is another Bible fanfiction. Bible and the Star Wars. So we're not over yet. However, this one, we're going over 2 chapters in particular that are more relevant to the Star Wars night. So we're starting off with chapter 1 and then moving to chapter 5. So, get ready, my friends, and let us move on. Prepare myself, dear viewers. Let us begin. Before we do, Daveling8. I'm publishing a DBZ-based app on the iOS store in a month or so. Would you be up for showcasing it? Well, yes. Yes, I'd be interested. Be sure to leave a link on my Twitter. So, use this Twitter address up here and get in contact with the person there. And I'm sure you'll be able to move on from there. Okay. Right. This one is by Fons Pond. And this one is called Bible Man Punches Your Mum in the Penis. The devil may cry dick tears at the glory of Bible Man. Rated fiction T for teen. God was dead to begin with. There is no doubt whatever about that. No, Father, what have they done to you? Jesus said, when he sees the dead body just as Bible Man explodes onto crime scene destroying precious evidence. What happened here? Bible Man scream in anger. Jesus busts into tears and buries his hands into Bible Man's rippling hands and pectorales. Bible Man pushes away Nancy Boy and begins his investigation, finding huge glowing red spiked dildo lodged in Oh dear. Oh dear. Finding huge glowing red spiked dildo lodged in God's booty hole that no one else noticed. Bible Man dove from the heavens and withdrew the sword of the Spirit. He sent an army of Christ on an airplane and sliced the airbase in two, spilling its blood of screaming human passengers into the skies. He then snatched the atheist, raped his hands around his neck and screamed, Judges 3:22, and the fat closed over the blade, for he did not pull the sword out of his belly, and the shit came out, and stuffed a copy of Darwin's Origins of Species down his dick gobbler. Whew. He crashed on... Strong stuff. He crashed onto the ground and shoved the holy saber into the world's dirt gina and began fucking the world. Meanwhile, on top Mount Olympus, the earth goddess Gaia orgasmed, and the portal to hell opened so that Bible Man may enter. Bible Man would later kill her for being an unholy pagan abomination. Now let's move on to chapter 5. Quickly. Okay, well, I'm so sorry for anybody who is particularly religious. I do not mean this. This is entirely not following my opinion about religion. I think we all need religion after this. I think we found a new thing. Either red spiky dildos or origins of a feces. Okay. Last one. Now this one is chapter 5. Star Wars Episode 316, The Christ Awakens. Yoda was sitting in Dagobah, smoking fat fucking joints and using a Ouija board to talk to Obi-Wan's Force Ghost. Master Yoda, stop smonking so much weed, you fat yellow 420 stonder, said Obi. Addicted calf to the chronic I am, Yoda choked out. Suddenly a loud boom noise came from the distance. The fuck that was, Yoda said, slightly shaken from his stonerific trance. The fog cleared and up rolled Bible Man, riding the tip of a wrecked Star Destroyer like a bomb-ass angel hood ornament. Luke Stroker confusingly exited Yoda's little hotbox hobo hut. Wowie, what was that? He said just as the large ship ground to a halt over him, crushing the young apprentice into putty paste. Oh shit, said Obi-Wan. Teaching Stroker how to hitting fat hits off the bob was I, Yoda replied. Let me do that again. Teaching Stroker how to fitting hits off the bob guy was I, Yoda replied. Fuck now the galaxy is. Bibleman tossed the heads of Sheev, Palpatine, and Darth Vader at Yoda's feet and Obi-Wan's ghostly tail. Don't be so sure, Xeno scum, Bibleman spake. Both Yoda and Obi quivered in fear, as they knew Bible was both a Jedi, Sith, Crystal Gem Christian, and the Quizit's Haderach. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Bibleman, sir. We can see that our job is done now, so I suppose I'll just be on my way. Bibleman held up his luscious holy hand and unleashed a barrage of heavenly force lightning, transforming Obi-Wan into a statue. Yeah! He screamed as he tumbled forward and shirted onto the ground into pieces. Please no kill I, Yoda begged. Kill you? Bibleman laughed. I'm not going to K. But then Bibleman withdrew the Sword of the Spirit, which is basically a lightsaber, but way better. No. Suddenly, it was the Millennium Falcon. Has anyone seen Luke? Here's dog treats for Chewbacca that I've given him. Hey, wait, what in the fucking? Bible and Yoda were having a duel with laser swords while a symphony of John Williams music played, and it was very cool with many backflips and sword spins. Shut the fuck up, Indian Jones, Bibleman yelled. He used the Force and pulled Han Solo's blaster out of his holster, and the Bibleman shot him right in the dick off. Wookiee noises! Why do I picture a picture of Chewbacca just saying, Wookiee noises? Oh my god, there's so many memes here. Okay. Okay. And he jumped out of Millennium Falcon and leapt into Binelman, but Bibleman was the quickest Jedi in the galaxy and jabbed Chewbacca by the scruff of the neck, and with a quick flick of his wrist, he easily pulled the skin and fur off the Wookiee like a piece of skin of a Kentucky Fried Chicken leg. Bilbo's man's guild friends, Colonel Sanders, taught him that trick when they fought together in WW3. Bibleman draped the hot bloody Wookiee pelt around his neck and stood perched on the Millennium Falcon, an eagle perched on top of Bibleman's helmet. Yoda, your mother should have told you about Ezekiel 23:19. Yet she increased her prostitution, remembering the days of her youth when she engaged in prostitution in the land of Egypt. She lusted after their genitals, as large as those donkeys, and their seminal emission was as strong as that of stallions. And as the last of these wise words exited Bibleman's mouth, he drove his shoes of peace deep into Yoda's ass, transforming him further into a Jim Henson-esque puppet creature. Bibleman then did enter the spooky cave where Yod kept his innocent prisoners captive. He cut the shackles from devout Christian George Lucas and Jar Jar Binks, who had endured years of torture within the evil Jedi's heretic cave.
You are our savior. These are doing many unholy bad things to us in there,
Sand Biggs said. Binble met Jar Jar's gaze with a warm smile. No, my Gungan friend. Jesus is our savior. The end. Oh my. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. Oh. Oh dear. Oh, that was certainly something. If it wasn't so gratuitous and graphic, I would certainly make that a Bad Fanfiction Theatre episode. But no. I think this should remain in the live stream. I definitely needed that. Oh. Everyone in the chat quite unanimously. Everybody in the chat is just left aghast. Everybody. My goodness. That was certainly saying something. And, for any of you in the chat, if you want to read the rest of this fanfiction, I shall leave a link. That link is to the whole story. So if you wish to check out chapters 2, 3, and 4, be my guest. But anyway, that is the last of our stories for tonight. Oh dear. So many of these people. Well, all I can say is just, I'm left flabbergasted. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in, and be sure to subscribe to the channel in order to receive more updates about the next stream. I shall be putting up a poll tomorrow, so that means we can get out the next subject. It might be a little bit haphazard because I'll be going away to a convention this weekend, so I should be able to get back in time for the stream, but in case something happens, be sure to know that it is for a good cause. So, I'm sorry, my friends, but it is time to say goodbye. But be sure to subscribe, follow this Twitter, and thank you everybody who left a tip. Very much appreciated. And thank you very much. And just a little point of note here. This is my final night with my Macintosh as my main machine. This computer is to be semi-retired. So, thank you, old girl. You've served me well. And thank you all for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. So, subscribe, leave a comment, share this stream with your friends, and follow me on Twitter. So, until the next time, everybody, we shall have to bid you adieu. Until the next Bad Fanfiction Live. Toodle pip!